Well, the question for us to answer is probably what's the strategy on the Finnish and on the NATO levels? Because what we have learned through the Ukraine war is that, yes, NATO, the US NATO war party, they want to fight a proxy war, but they don't want to fight a direct one, right? If they wanted to fight a NATO war, all they need to do is for NATO to say, like, yeah, we're sending troops, right? There's so many.
Yeah, and it would start, yeah.
But we saw how NATO constantly evaded this last logical conclusion. So, and Finland is now a member of NATO. So if you actually provoke anything through Finland, then you're inside what NATO obviously said, and the Germans and the French and the Italians have said they actively don't want. You would have a direct war. So what's the logic behind militarizing Finland beyond deterrence?
Yeah, that's a very good question. There cannot be any other logic than preparation for war. I think it was May, something like that. Our military announced that it will increase our reserve from 325,000 men to 1 million coming into, was it 2032, about 5 or 7 years time. And this is like, we haven't had this thing since, I think, 1941. So when we're going into a war, the continuation war with Soviet Union or against Soviet Union. So this is a clear sign of preparation. If you're gonna make peace, you don't need 1 million, 1/5 of the population in arms. You don't need that. You only do that as a preparation for war. So these are these small things everywhere hinting that, like, we are next.
Do you think that this is maybe also just a message to Russia? I mean, we often discount the intellectual capabilities of our European leaders because we think that they're complete idiots. But maybe they actually do play a more nuanced game, and bringing Stubb along to Washington, being the European, saying like, look, Russia, if you don't come to our terms, then we have a next theater for you. Is this thinkable to you?
No, I think the Russian leadership knows this already from our statesmen and from the statesmen of our leadership, and already before. Like the National Coalition Party, or Kokoomus, they have been, let's say, Russophobic for a very long time. Like I think I mentioned also here that I were friends with our current Minister of Foreign Affairs, Elina Valtonen, for several years, 5 years actually, and was quite close to the leadership of National Coalition Party, and it it shook me to the core how incompetent those people are, and I know almost for certain that President Alexander Stubb is a narcissist from my friends who have worked under him. So these are not competent people in a sense, but I think they are marionettes, they're puppets here, which are playing some secret darker scheme. I think that's the only logical explanation for this all. Stupidity does not cover it. This is just pure evil in a sense. Well, not pure evil, but evil in a sense. I think, and I was in a small conference about a month ago in Cambridge, and there was a former CIA operative there, and she told me, even in the introductory dinner before the conference started, that we need to break up Russia. And she repeated it. Yeah, that's the plan of the neocons and the CIA and the deep state and all those.
In 2025, they still want to break up Russia.
Yeah, they want it, and they have like there was 2 other neocons there, and one of the main points of main ideas of the conference was to learn what they are aiming at. And what we learned was that there is no end point to this war. They really want a perpetual war, and they want to break up Russia. It was really shocking. It was really shocking to hear, because this was a conspiracy theory for me earlier. And then she told me straight to my face, we need to break up Russia. I was like, okay, this is true then. This is what they're aiming at. And I don't know the exact players here, but all the stooges that were in the White House, and I don't mean President Trump, they are someone is telling them what to do. This is some kind of scheme, some kind of plan. It's the only logical explanation in my thinking.
There's enough people with that kind of belief that you would have a viable political faction, and you have this political faction. It's the Blumenthals in the in what's the other guy's name? Sorry, the other senator, Lindsey Graham, and so on.
Yeah, later,
That
man.
it's that group that pushes for stuff like this, and it's that group that would sign up to this, and it's that kind of people then in the think tanks and so on who write all of these papers, and then there are acolytes who go to the CIA and work there, who then take part in these conferences. So it's just a natural group of people who wants to see such a scenario. But